to you almost live from, I got to turn some volume down here because there's a delay. There we go. That's a little bit better. There's a delay between what I say and what I hear in these things. Anyway, good to be with you today. Had a catastrophe at the Area 52 studio. I've got I think it's a 10 or a 12 terabyte hard drive. As a matter of fact, I have it right here. Okay. And anyway, it's an external drive, and the thing just, the light would come on, but the computer wouldn't read it for some reason. Now, I've got on here everything that is currently in our Dropbox, which we have a 5 terabyte account with Dropbox. Plus, when the Dropbox gets too full, then I'm able to move files such as Sunday, the whole church recordings, all the Watchmen broadcasts, Pastor Mike Online's, everything can go stored on here and have it taken offline. So my hope is that I can retrieve this hard drive out of here, that's easy to do. You just pop the case off and unplug it. And I've got an external drive reader. You just take the hard drive and just put it in there, and hopefully it'll read it. That way I can save the contents of what's on the drive, and we'll have all of those recordings. If not, at least I have our current files in the Dropbox, but I sure would like to save as much as I possibly can, because that's my work. That's what we've done over the past several years, and I've got recordings that go back 10 years or more than that. So anyway, just pray about that for us. Anyway, and then the whole system crashed. I don't know what, but anyway, I'm glad to be with you today, and I am home, and we're gonna make the very, very best out of the time that we have, and out of being able to do this from home. I was looking for the recording of the UFOs that the guy made that were like a time lapse, and I know I've got that recording saved somewhere because I played it the other day, and but for the life of me I can't find that one either, because concerning this drone issue, there's been a ton of news items coming out. Trump's talked about it, and then the Holy Reverend Alex Jones, and I say that tongue in cheek. I don't like Alex Jones, and I don't like the fact that he lies. He lies to get views, and he doesn't care what he says. People, there was a mass shooter at the Sandy Hook Elementary School. This guy killed a bunch of kids, killed some teachers, killed the principal. It was a sad, sad thing. And Alex Jones told everybody that was all made up by the government so they could come in, take all of our weapons away from us. That's what they want to do. They'll take all of our guns. And it's the Illuminati doing that. And it's the deep state. And I just, he got sued by everybody in the world over the Sandy Hook lie, and lost every one of his court cases. And he even lied in court to the judge, lied to the jury, lied to the people. And so anyway, anyway, he's got some kind of theory out there about it. It's the deep state doing this. Yeah, this deep state. Now, I think, and to me, there's no doubt, we're dealing with several different issues. I do believe, without any doubt, that there are military drones flying about in different places around the country. For some reason, they seem to have been focused on New Jersey or the New York City area. We don't know why. Is it possible that there is a dirty nuke, a nuclear warhead that is meant to spread or as some people say, nuclear radiation? The same people who say nuclear are realtors, okay, and they wear jewelry, okay. Anyway, there's no doubt that there could be, and in that case, we would have military drones that have sniffing capability to detect some kind of maybe gamma signature, some kind of radiation signature, different things like that, okay? And if that's the case, God bless them. God bless them. That would account for some of the drones and the way that they are lit up with FAA anti-collision lights, just like a commercial airliner or a private jet or a private airplane. They have to have certain lights on. Some of those lights have to blink. That is by rule of the FAA, and that is so that two planes don't collide into each other for lack of seeing one another. All right? So that would account for some of them. But then, and the reason why I wanted to replay that video was that it clearly shows the motion of these lights in the sky, and I will call them orbs because that tends to be what they are. They are glowing objects in the sky, and to watch that one video where the guy sped up, and you got these things flying all over the sky, and they're appearing out of nowhere, and then they're just disappearing into who knows where, right in front of your very eyes. Now, if you want to, you could go back to last Thursday's Pastor Mike Online, because I think I started out with those with that video, with the time lapse or the sped up video showing the motions of scores of orbs flying around, crossing one another, crossing the screen, and so on. It's an amazing thing. Now, the question is, where do those come from? Two possibilities. Number one, they are what is referred to as ARVs, alien recreation vehicles. No. Alien reproduction vehicles. In other words, going all the way back to the days of Bob Lazar, moving ahead now to the testimony of David Gruesch in front of Congress, live on television, broadcast around the world, broadcast on the internet. The man stood with his hand raised. He swore that he would tell the truth to Congress under penalty of perjury. And he said, without a doubt, There are recovered vehicles, some crashed, some not. These vehicles have been part of a back engineering program for the last, 40, 50 years, something like that. And I believe that it is absolutely possible. Let me go back to Scripture. Let me see if I can do this right now. There we go. And we'll go to Psalms 82. We'll find the answer that I searched for years. I wanted to know whether or not it was true that if these UFOs are spirit beings and spirit vehicles, how could they crash? How could the occupants die? That didn't make sense to me. Now it does. In the light of this, I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. That also answers the question of, are the sons of God angels? Boom. There they are right there. The gods are children of God. Makes sense, doesn't it? So, and that's both good and bad. Okay? Gods, all throughout the scriptures are, they are either good gods or there are bad gods. Now, before you're going, Hoggard's falling off, he believes in the gods. And listen, the angelic realm are referred to as gods with a little g. Because you and I, if you are born again, if I'm born again, then we are sons of God, right? Which means that, and the scriptures plainly telling us that we're going to be as the angels in heaven are. And they are immortal. They are apparently infallible. They have some of the attributes of God, although limited in power. And so, yes, this very verse, Jesus quoted it in reference to those to whom the word of God has come. He said, I've said ye are gods. And I had a lady call me one time. I mean, she said, did you really say that? Did you say that we're going to become gods one of these days? I said, well, ma'am, actually, I was reading the scripture and Jesus said it. Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe we're going to become gods. I think you're a false prophet. Click. I think I'm being a little bit more dramatic than that's how it was. But anyway, yeah, she got deeply offended because I think I get why. Apparently, Kenneth Copeland said something related to that we're little gods and that we can do what God can do. Ugh. Then what? How come he needs someone to keep darkening his hair? You know, Kenneth Copeland's 132 years old, something like that? Anyway, I've said ye are gods, and all of you children of the Most High. So that puts them in the angelic realm, the spirit realm. But ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. But there you go. There's the answer to that question, that at some point these evil angels, that's a phrase out of the Bible, look it up, these gods with a little g are doing something down here on the earth that they're not supposed to be doing, and God allows them, boom, to fall, then he allows them to die. So 1947, was there a UFO that crashed near Roswell, New Mexico? I absolutely believe it 100% that it happened. Then and 4 out of 5 of the occupants died at the scene, because God said, "You shall die like men." In Ezekiel 28, God said the almost identical thing here concerning the prince of Tyrus, which we know is Satan, because it says, "Thou hast been at Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering." And then it says, "The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes, musical instruments, was prepared in thee." And then it says in verse 17, "Thy heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee." Well, it says up here that, "Thus saith the Lord, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas." That's talking about the sea of glass that was around the throne of God. That talks about the pericardium surrounding our heart, that water sac. But God says, thou art a man and not God. So that's caused some theologians to say, now, we don't believe that this is actually referring to the devil or Satan, because it's referring to the prince of Tyrus, because it plainly says that thou art a man. And if they would have just made that step from Ezekiel 28 over to Psalm 82, I'm sure they would have come to a different conclusion. I'm positive they would have, maybe. Okay, but anyway, so that's even in Isaiah 14, where it talks about how, Lucifer wants to sit over the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north and rule over the angels and be like the Most High. But God says, "Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man? Is this the man that made the earth to tremble and that did shake kingdoms? Yeah, that's him." And so it's like God mortalizes these immortals, and they're no longer immortals any longer. They're going to die is what they're going to do, okay? So, getting back to these vehicles, either alien reproduction vehicles or they are the real deal. They are unknown aerial phenomenon, and they're here doing something. And I have a few theories on that. It all started, if you remember, in Manchester, England, United Kingdom. And this orb came down in front of everybody and landed on the tarmac of the Manchester airport. Now, something that I think you should consider, I think we should all consider, is the idea that if this represents some alien group, alien civilization, which are spirits. There's no doubt in my mind about it. And they don't want man to know what they're doing. Why is it then that now, all of a sudden, they're starting to make their presence known? They're not hiding like they used to. I mean, this one, when you land in a secured area where there's only supposed to be approved airplanes in this area, when you land there, you want to be seen. And that's what happened. So this one co-pilot took a picture of it, and then there was a video, I think, that he may have taken, or somebody else, and something that I've not heard anybody else say, but it showed that very thing was hovering above the tarmac, and then for whatever reason, the guy that's holding the camera brings the camera down, but you can see that just before the top of the camera frame loses sight of the vehicle, it like de-popcorns itself, unpopcorn. You know, popcorn pops out, poof, like that. Well, this did the opposite, foot, and it disappeared very quickly. So that tells us that this is not something that man-made. Doesn't seem to be. Doesn't operate under the laws of physics the way we understand them. So it starts out with this, and then it's going to all of these drones that we've been. Let me see if I can pull up a video or two. Let's see here. I had one. What is this one? Yeah, here we go. I don't know if I showed this one Tuesday. Let me back it up a little bit. That's pretty interesting. Some are saying that might be a fake, but I don't know. I think it could be real. Let's see here. Yeah, that's unusual. How about
Orange County, California?
Yeah, those there. That one really got my attention. These three, and I'll tell you, the number 3 in UFOlogy needs to be explored, because that seems to be a very common thing in UFOlogy, is that they tend to form triangles. The TR3B. Let's see here. We're done with that. How about this one from Argentina? Let's see here. Yeah, multiple lights in the sky, different colors. And this is from Brazil, where they do not speak Spanish. Some of you, that may come as a surprise. They do not speak Spanish in Brazil. They speak Portuguese, because it was Portugal that founded that. Let's see here. Here is one from a plane, I think. Yeah, that one just sitting there. It's not flying around. It's not moving around. Doesn't appear to have any wings or anything like that. It's just a big light in the sky. And that really is pretty cool. That doesn't seem to be a regular military type drone. This one here, I'm not going to give the sound, but it's a mother and a child, and they're asking the UFO to blink at them. Okay? The guy that you're seeing on there, he's got a channel called the Impossible Channel, I think is what it is. And he has some pretty good stuff on there. If you want to check his channel out, go ahead. But anyway, this thing is going to blink. Oh, the little, see, it blinks. There you go. Now, that's not unheard of. It's not unheard of because think about it for a minute, okay? These chariots, we'll call them that, they are living. They have the ability to think, to respond to stimulus. They are, in biblical terms, they are living. When Ezekiel is describing the chariot that God is riding in, it is made up of living creatures. And so these what we would call angels or spirits or gods, little g, what we've believed for years about the spirit world is that spirits have the ability to know in a limited way the thoughts that are in our head. I don't believe that all humans, and this is what's being told, that all humans have the ability to have psychic powers. In other words, all humans have the ability to read other humans' minds, and that we can talk to one another without using our lips, our mouth, our voice box, or anything like that. Okay? No. We don't have that ability. We have a brain, yeah, but it doesn't have that sense. It doesn't have that. What you have is you have I could call it a demon, a devil, a god, a spirit, a UFO, an alien, a chariot. You have an entity that can read my thoughts and convey to someone else's brain what my thoughts were. And that person could say, yes, you were thinking of pink flowers, and you were thinking of giving them to your wife, or just anything like that. And I would go, oh, that is exactly what I had in mind. Oh my goodness, you read my mind. And that's where people start making money. Okay? Is they pretend to be psychics, they pretend to have this power, this ability. A lot of these big names, James Van Praagh, and some of these others, phony balonies. They are the big phonies. Who was it? Was Sylvia Brown or James Van Praagh or one of James Van Praagh was telling this case that we had here where I used to pastor down in Richwoods, where 11-year-old boy ended up missing. And after a while of searching, nobody found him. Everybody thought he might be dead, and so on and so on. And this guy, this psychic on TV, he gets on there, and he's supposedly going to tell where the kid is. And I did a show on this, and I wrote down the different prophecies that he made, and he was wrong on just about every one of them. The only thing that he was right on was he said he's still alive. Well, he was right on that. But everything else, where he was telling his family, who had been looking for him for years, telling them where he is, where to start looking, where to go. I see a silo. I see all this stuff. All that stuff's made up. Wasn't anywhere close. There was a guy, had an apartment, lived in an apartment complex in, I think it was in Ferguson, Missouri, or Florissant, one of the two. And he was he made pizzas for a local pizzeria here. And he had this kid in his apartment for, I don't know, like 3 years, 3 or 4 years, something like that. Anyway, getting back to this UFO thing, can this UFO read the intention of this woman and her child? Because that's who's on the video. Absolutely, I believe that. One guy, there was a video I saw. He saw a UFO outside, quite a distance away from his apartment. He goes out on the balcony, and he's got a camera, and he sees the UFO, and he's filming it, and he goes up and up, and he's like, "Oh man, don't go away! Come toward me!" All of a sudden, the thing stopped and started coming back toward him. The guy's like freaking out. Okay, that's one thing that I want to address. Let me get to my notes here. I want to address this. Stephen Greer. And there is a big fight going on between Stephen Greer and all of the people that have been testifying before Congress. Guys like Luis Elizondo and David Gruesch and some of these others that are in the military. And like Lou Elizondo, he ran ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. It was his job to determine what these sailors, these soldiers, these airmen were seeing, and then write up a report on whether or not what they encountered posed a potential threat to the defense of the United States of America. So Lou Elizondo and others that are in the military are saying, we believe that there is at least a faction of these beings that mean harm not only to this country but to our world. And they said, we need to start taking this seriously as a nation. If we're going to defend our nation the way we are trained to do, then we have to be able to do that against all enemies, foreign, alien, and domestic. But then you've got Stephen Greer, who's in love with them. Not with Lou Elizondo. He's in love with the aliens, the spirits, the devils, the familiar spirits. He's in love with them. He's calling them down. And he refers to anybody in the military who sees these as a threat. He refers to them as these military psychopaths. That's what he calls them. It's his favorite term now. Anybody who is in the military and looks at this and says, we don't know what this is, so we have to treat it seriously. Greer is like, you're crazy. You're a psychopath. You're on a power trip, okay? You're just in this to make money, and you're part of the military industrial complex. That's what he does. And so there is he's even said of Lou Elizondo that he's a government shill. He's a psychopath. He's telling everybody that these are dangerous, that they represent harm. Stephen Greer's like, oh no, these are our friends. Greer practices a form of Jewish mysticism called Merkabah. And it comes from the Hebrew word which means chariot of all things. Okay? And so some parts of Kabbalah even pray or meditate on the Ophanim, which are the wheels that drive. If you have a chariot, it's got to have wheels. Only these are different wheels. These are fourth dimensional ones. This idea of a wheel within a wheel. I'm not sure that I quite understand what it looks like, because he's describing something that's in another dimension. Keep that in mind. That's what Ezekiel's doing. It's in the fourth dimension. It's a higher dimension, and therefore we can't really fathom until maybe we see it one day what exactly he's talking about. Okay, but Greer, basically with his CE5, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which is human-initiated contact with these beings, is that you get together about 15 people, okay? You tie your legs up in a pretzel knot, and you close your eyes, and Greer's even got it's a weird video on YouTube where he's meditating, and he's like, ooh, na, 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 ooh, na, na, na. And I'm like, man, that guy's, he's an ER doctor, smart guy, okay? But he is flipped over for these devils. He's in love with them. He can't wait for them to come floating down gently to the earth and raising their arms and saying, we're here to help you. We're here to make everybody here love one another, and we're going to eliminate nuclear war, and we're going to increase your crops, and we're going to show everybody how to live and how to love, and it's going to be a beautiful 1,000 years. Okay? That's what he believes about all this. He's leading the charge. In fact, I would say that if you were to point the finger at one individual who would be responsible for all of these appearances in the last 2 weeks, I'd point it at Stephen Greer and his group, because they're the ones. He's got it on video where they're out by the ocean and they're all meditating, and all of a sudden these three amber orbs show up way out in the ocean. And just about every time he has one of these CE5 events, and everybody's meditating and they're calling down whatever's flying around out there, and all of a sudden they show up. So naturally, they're waiting for this invitation. And I believe that invitation is going to come from all of humanity. They're going to ask for it. They're going to beg for it. They're going to want this to happen. Okay? Let me go back here. What did I go back here for? Well, let's look at this. Let's remind ourselves what we're dealing with. Psalm 68:17, the chariots of God. let me get a pen here. The chariots of God are 20,000 even thousands of angels. Now, if I were to just not say this part here, I'm not saying take it out of the text, but if I were to read it like this, the chariots of God are angels. Okay? I've not altered the meaning of this sentence. I've enhanced it so that you understand that, first of all, what he's saying here, what God is saying here is these chariots of God are angels. Not the chariots of God are driven by angels, or the chariots of God are ridden by angels. The chariots of God are angels, is what basically the sentence is saying. Now, if we add back in the numbers, the chariots of God are 20,000s or even thousands of angels. So there are, the Bible's telling at least 20,000, and evidently way more than that. So this, David writes this. Solomon, his son, in 1 Kings, when he's building the platform that the Ark of the Covenant is on, it is sitting on a chariot. It's got 4 wheels. They're on axle trees. They're joined at the base. The work of the wheels was like the work of a chariot wheel. Look at that. They're axle trees, naves, felloes, and spokes. 1, 2, 3, 4. That tells you that this, what Solomon was doing, represents something in the angelic realm or in the spiritual realm. Okay? So when Solomon, in all of his wisdom, builds the platform for the Ark of the Covenant, and he ends up making a great big chariot, he's not wrong. According to Ezekiel 1 and Ezekiel 10, he's not wrong, because that's what they are. That's what they look like. That's how they operate. Eric von Daniken grew up going to Catholic school, and he had a hard time believing that God would ride a chariot. He said, if you're God, you don't need a chariot. Well, no, he doesn't need a chariot. He don't need us either. Okay? But he uses it. It's part of his glory. It's part of his when people see this, they're just going to go, that is so cool, or way beyond that. Now, keep this in mind, that these chariots are angels, and these angels are chariots. Got you to say it, didn't I? So now let's look at something. Actually, I want to go to 2 Kings first. So in 2 Kings, we have Elijah, who's going to go to heaven. Wouldn't that be something to wake up one morning and you know that by the end of the day, you're going to be in heaven? Okay? It's been September, October, November. It's been about 3.5 months since my father-in-law, Brother Sterling, passed away. And I got to missing him yesterday. But he knew. I've said this about just about everybody at Bethel that I've known that's passed away. They all knew. Okay, they all knew. And so did he. And I miss him. I feel bad for my wife. I feel bad for my mother-in-law. But I just think every now and then where he is. I'm like, man. Okay? So anyway, where was I going? Oh, yeah, imagine Elijah waking up one morning, and then he knows now, because God's just told him, that he's going to heaven that day. Okay? I would be like walking on air. Okay? Elijah, when it happened, verse 11 of 2 Kings chapter 2, and it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. Now, I think that the whirlwind is like a power source for this chariot. Okay? I have no doubt that Elijah got in this chariot. Okay? I have no doubt whatsoever. When I look here, it says, the Spirit of the Lord hath taken him up. So we believe that. Let's see here. But anyway, so keep that in mind. That Elijah, which is a picture of the rapture, Elisha represents Israel, Elijah is us Gentiles. And there's going to come a day when our ministry is over here on this earth, and God is going to part us. But as he takes us from this world into heaven, he imparts the double portion, the second Spirit outpouring to Israel. All right? So, now back to Matthew. And I want you to picture this in your mind, that these angels are the chariots of God. Okay? When that verse in Psalms said, the chariots of God are 20,000, even thousands of angels. Anything related to the number 2, like 2, 20, 22, 200, 2,000, 20, 20,000, so on. That's related to the time of the Gentiles and the mystery of God being finished. Okay, when Jesus, I think, was asking Philip or Nathaniel, one of the two, they had all those people to feed, and Jesus said, do you think we can feed these people? And the response was, Master, not even 200 pennyworth is sufficient. Well, 200, the number is, you have the number 2 there. And I look at it as like during that 2,000 years, the time of the Gentiles, that's not the time that Israel can be fed in. It'll take place after that, but it's not the time. You have Joseph in Egypt. He marries a Gentile bride. How many sons does he have? 2, Manasseh and Ephraim. Okay, so anyway, things related to the number 2, I could go into it a lot more, but I think they're related to the age of the Gentiles, 2,000 years. So imagine now, okay, just work with me here. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. The stars shall fall from heaven. I have said ye are gods, and all of you children of the Most High. But ye shall die like men, and fall like princes. The powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. They shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, and he shall send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Okay? So, all these born-again, Bible-believing saints of the Most High God. And a chariot comes down from heaven for each one of them and picks them up and gives them a ride up into glory. I wish I had my sound effects here. Wah! Yeah! Woo! Okay? I think that's how it's going to happen. I think it is. Wouldn't that be the most awesome thing that anybody has ever seen in their life? Now, let's flip that upside down. The devil's kingdom, it could be truthfully said that whatever God has said and whatever God does, the devil's just the opposite of it. Okay? God is love. Satan is a murderer. He hates. Okay? God is truth. The devil's a liar from the beginning. He doesn't know how to tell the truth. Okay? He just mingles lies with everything. So imagine now, and let me get my PowerPoint back up here, and let's go to. Before we do, let me deal with this, okay? I showed you Tuesday this drone getting into it with another orb, and it didn't turn out so well. It went fell. And then I showed you some videos of let's see here, some orbs. Here we go. I'll put that up on the screen.
Here's another clip of a drone shooting out.
This one's shooting beams.
I have no idea what is going on. Are you
Okay.
as puzzled as I am?
There's an awful lot of shooting going on here. And so what's that about? Okay? What would a war in heaven look like? Okay? This verse here, Deborah is she's the judge. She's the one female judge that was over Israel. And Barak is her captain, and they go after Sisera. And when they win the battle and Sisera's dead, then Deborah sings this song. And part of it says they fought from heaven. The stars in their courses fought against Sisera. Now, what are stars? Angels. And when we, let me just kind of, I think here's another one here where they're shooting.
It's important to note that
this one.
definitely not advisable,
Okay.
but there are individuals
Let's say that,
like the drone
that's somebody
hunters
shooting at
who
one.
attempts to shoot down
All right.
drones. They take active measures to bring down these
this one.
devices.
I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one where it got shot down. This is and we'll just call it an orb. And here's another one. Big amber orb. And watch what happens. They don't like each other. They're not going to get along very well. And so this orb body slams this one. Like WWF. Okay? WWF stands for Why We Fighting? Here it comes. Blink, 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 blink. Smack. I'm falling down. Okay? Boom. So, think of those two lights in the way that the Bible tells you. Let's think of them as stars. When we read the story about Jesus' birth, one of the things that we know that it happens is that there is a star up in the heaven that moves around. Okay? And the wise men follow this star. They said, "We have seen a star in the east, and have come to worship him." So the star leads them into town, right to the place where Mary and Joseph live and where the baby lives. This is not all at the same day that Jesus was born, okay? Jesus is a few weeks old now, or maybe more than that. But that star was an angel that led them, and it stopped right over the place, just like that thing was right over our church last Thursday, a week ago. It stopped right over that. So when he says here, the stars in their courses fought against Sisera, what could that mean? It could mean that there were angelic beings that were helping the armies of Israel fight Sisera. And they would be referred to as stars because that's what angels are. Stars. And stars are angels. And if you allow yourself to believe that, then you understand that not all the stars are all fixed in one little position up in the sky, and they can never move except, the natural migration of, the earth orbiting the sun. It changes from month to month. So anyway, we have a war going on, and these angels, they fought from heaven. The stars in their courses fought against Israel. We have these angels assisting in this war. Okay? In Daniel 8, out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. Well, we know this is not the star Betelgeuse. That's a real star, by the way. and it's a huge star. We know it's not that. It's referring to the host of heaven. It's referring to angels, casting them to the ground and stomping on them because they need stomped. Okay? Now, there was an event similar to what's happening now. This was in Nuremberg in 1561. Okay? See all these lights? These are orbs. And, you know, some of those things that people have been seeing, they sort of look like maybe like a plane. Look here. Okay, look here. You have all these lights, these orbs, and then you have these long ones like towers, you know, like pillars. And according to the description of what happened, which was written up along with this woodcut, they're showing you here the city. There's the church, and this happened over the city of Nuremberg, and they say that all of these at some point came crashing down to the earth, and they all burn up in this big, thick smoke. Okay? But a very famous, there's no doubt in my mind that these are stars fighting one another, because that's what was reported, that they were fighting one another. They were shooting stuff at each other, and it didn't go well for any of them. They all end up crashing down and burning up, and I mean, who knows if there's anything left of them. But that really happened. They recorded that. A guy spent time cutting a block of wood so they could run ink over it and print it up, and then print up the description of what happened. This has been translated into English. You can find it on Wikipedia. But it actually happened. Okay? So, let's see, dealt with that. Yeah. The angel answered and said to me, these are the four spirits of the heavens. He's talking about these chariots here, and the red horses, and the white horses, and the black horses, and the grizzled and bay horses. And they are the four spirits of the heavens, which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth. So, I may not have made... I'm just kind of jumping around in my thoughts. Let me see if there's anything else here I wanted to look at. That, we got that. Oh, yeah, that story where Elisha, because he's already seen these things, right? He's already seen the horses and chariots of God. He saw one pick up Elijah and take him up into heaven in a whirlwind. And so here they are surrounded by the enemy, and his servant says to Elisha, alas, my master, how shall we do? And he answered, fear not, that they be with us are more than they that be with them. And it's true, because the war that's in heaven, Michael fighting against the dragon's only got a third. Michael's got 2/3. That's more than the dragon has. Okay? The Bible's right. You don't have to worry or fret. Now, I'm the biggest worrier in the world. Okay? And I admit, when I saw, like this morning and yesterday morning, I'd taken a look at what's going on, and I see that there's more of these things. And the thought came to me, Mike, what if all this stuff you've been talking about begins to happen today? I don't think it will. But what if it takes place this week? Okay? I'm going to be a little freaked out over that. Why? I'm not very afraid of what men can do to me. I am somewhat, but I've fought devils before. And they beat me up pretty good. And the thought of devils surrounding me, surrounding my family and my church, kind of scares me a little bit. So I have this belief that says, number one, the chariots of God are 20,000, even thousands of angels. And that there are more for us than there are for them. And that hopefully, if I'm right, I'm going to ride a chariot drawn by horses of fire, taken up by a whirlwind into heaven. Okay? And that God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Okay? And that's what I'd like for you to have, is a spirit of power and love and a sound mind. Okay? Don't let the devil back you into a corner in fear. You stand your ground. God has given us the power to stand against our enemies, and stand we shall. While everybody else is going to faint and fall backwards, we're going to be Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. We're going to be standing up, recognized by the devil. There's God's people right there. Well, I'd rather have it that way than any other way. All right? Well, praise the Lord. I love you. Pray for our ministry. Pray I get this stupid hard drive working. Help us pray about a feeding right after Christmas. I'd like to be able to do more than what we've done in the past. I don't say this very often, but we just don't have the funds to do what I want to do. So help us pray about it. Okay? That's all I'm going to ask you to do, because God has been so good to us through prayer. He has. Okay? I'm amazed all the time. So I love you. I thank you for always praying for us and supporting us. And I hope I can always be a blessing to you and to your family. All right? Help us share this ministry. Like this video. Subscribe. Share it with people. Okay? Help us get the word of God out to people about what's going on. People have questions. Okay? And we know that the word of God has the answers. So, all right, I'll see you later.